We're MCM Collective. We're excited that you're joining us for our video podcast. And I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Blake McBartlett. I'm a residential broker that's been selling in Northern Colorado for 12 years now.
Hi, I'm Cavalier. I'm also a residential broker who has also been selling in Northern Colorado for 12 years.
And I'm Blake McBartlett, and I've been selling real estate in Northern Colorado for 3 years.
So I'm excited to get this going. So how's everybody doing today?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
Good. It's seems like a lot coming up to this moment.
Here we go. Christine's passion project is now a real thing.
Yeah. We can all thank each other and me for getting us going on the video podcast. Well, I'm excited that we're doing it though. I mean, I think it's really a great opportunity to connect with people and answer questions that people might have, and maybe they don't know who to go to or don't want to bother somebody, or they feel like they're bothering us or whatever. So I think this is going to be a really great format for us to share our knowledge and expertise with folks out there.
And everybody's really been looking for me to get on camera for years. So this is very exciting. So we've been MCM Collective for 2 years now. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah.
And you and I have been selling real estate since the very beginning together.
Right. Yep. We both started together and office together. It was really great to work through those rookie years together and get to know the market, get to know, how we can better serve our clients, elevate each other, and here we are.
I was always inspired by you, Christine, by just your commitment to generosity and to creating a really knowledgeable community. And I think we also both really had strong commitments to excellence and treating our clients like we want to be treated.
Correct.
I really think that's what inspired MCM Collective. And then Blake, you coming in a couple of years ago, fit right into that.
Yeah, I think watching you both enjoy your careers and how you get back to the community really inspired me to get into the business and really fulfill my dream of providing a really high level of service to our clients and joining the two of you. So it's been fun as well.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, we sell, Northern Colorado means a lot of things. So Fort Collins, Longmont, Berthoud, Timnath, Windsor, I mean, it's really Weld County. It's all encompassing. So, but we all kind of have areas we like to focus on. I really love selling in Fort Collins, for instance. It's just a really great city, really good community vibe. The market is super stable. And what about you guys? Where do you like to sell?
Well, living in Longmont, I obviously like to sell in Longmont a lot and all of Boulder County. Longmont is really probably my main focus. I would say I do about 40% of my business in Longmont, probably overall 70% of my business in all of Boulder County. So Boulder, Louisville, Lafayette, Superior, Broomfield, tossed in there, even though it's not officially part of Boulder County. It used to be a long time ago.
Before they got wise and or smart or whatever.
Yeah, before they decided to venture out on their own.
Right.
I don't think I have been in the business long enough to establish a specific location, and the population I work with really is kind of vast in terms of where they are, in terms of entering the market. So kind of selling from Broomfield all the way into Wellington. Your first few years, you really are a road warrior, for lack of words. So yeah, it's a windshield time this last few years.
You had a listing in Inglewood last year.
Yeah, I did. South Denver.
Yeah.
So
I think we've all had those opportunities to work in areas outside of our marketplace, working with a lot of different relocation clients, especially in corporate relocation, tends to lend itself to a much broader geography because clients who are relocating here from out of state don't really know our area, and so they might start looking in Fort Collins and then want to explore some other areas. And so I do think we can get outside that area. I've had several clients wind up, maybe start looking in Boulder, and then they decide they really want to be in the mountains in Colorado because they're not really familiar enough with Colorado to understand the distinction of our kind of front range area versus the mountains. So I have several clients actually who wound up in evergreen and conifer, although that is not our normal area.
Right. But you do what's best for your client, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So speaking of doing what's best for your clients, why should people be investing in real estate?
Wow, that's kind of a loaded question.
It is. It's a big one.
Yeah.
I think like short and simple, it's an investment in your future. In our area, we've been very fortunate to not have really high swings and low swings in terms of market value. And there's a huge value protection, I think, across the Front Range. Colorado in general, we haven't seen big high highs, no low lows in terms of appreciation. It's been really, really consistent.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like if you look at Larimer County, which is, for Collins Loveland, usually the appreciation rate is about 6% if you look at it over 40 years. And when things are going really poorly in the rest of the real estate economy, where people are seeing drops of like 30%, for Collins Loveland is seeing like flat appreciation. Like we saw, this last year, we were seeing a little bit of appreciation where some markets are seeing depreciation. So I agree with you. It's a super stable place to be.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on what you're both saying, I grew up in California, which does have those huge cyclical swings. So when real estate's doing really, really well and the economy is very strong, California tends to appreciate like crazy. And then on the flip side, when we go into recession, it definitely goes right back the other way. And I owned my third home in Nevada. In Reno during the Great Recession. Well, we bought prior to the Great Recession, and that was the worst place to be. So as far as real estate investment values go, we lost almost 50% of the value of that home. And so it was really interesting when we chose to move here after selling that home. We were very nervous about buying our next home because we had lost so much money. And I did a lot of research on just that, like what you said, Blake, about how stable is the market here, from, home ownership to actually using real estate as an investment vehicle. And I was really excited to see that this area along the Front Range, at least definitely northern Colorado, does not have those swings. And when I did my research, I could only find 2 years since 1971 where overall there was a depreciation of value. And of those 2 years, the greatest was 6%. So coming from Nevada, where we saw a 50% decline in value, to coming here and learning that the greatest decline ever was only 6%, I was actually really excited then to get back into the market and buy our home here.
Yeah. It's a really good point. What do you two think about concerns that buyers are having right now when it comes to investing in real estate?
I think there are, a lot of things with interest rates. So it's always interesting. I'm old enough that I've gone through a lot of cycles of real estate. And so when I bought my first home, my very first loan I had, the interest rate was 11%, which if we told people that interest rates were going to go to 11%, everybody would freak out, right? Even more so than they are stressed about interest rates right now. So it's very relative, I think. It's hard because we, for so many years, had sub-average or much below average interest rate values.
The last 10 years, basically.
Yeah, right, the last 10 years. So the average 50-year average interest rate is 7%.
Yeah.
So where we sit today, we're right at that average. However, it's much higher than, to your point, the last 10 years. Yeah. So
I think when interest rates were low, we saw a lot of people getting into the market for the first time. So people who are ready to I always call it like moving up, like a second home, third home, people are having a hard time letting go of their interest rates, and their purchase power changed significantly. And then I also think we see people who are trying to get into the market that are like, oh, if I just wait one more quarter, rates will drop, and then I can afford so much more.
Right.
So I feel like people are at the start line. They can see the finish line. It's just, I think our job is help educate them to help them get there, because, we don't have a crystal ball. I wish we did. But in terms of like real estate value in our area, like owning yesterday was better than owning tomorrow in terms of your appreciation.
You're 100% right on that. And I feel like, if you look back, people that bought 20 years ago, it was challenging for them to buy at that time, whether it's coming up with a down payment or figuring out their budget for a monthly payment. And interest rates affect that a lot. But, I don't think anybody that stretched and bought 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 30 years ago regrets that decision. Because they've built all this equity over time. And they're in a much better financial position now because of that. So, there's that old Chinese proverb, right, that says, when is the best time to plant a tree? That's 20 years ago.
Right.
The best time is today. And so it's just a matter of getting into it.
Yeah.
I think also about, it's interesting when I'm looking at the luxury market right now, with current concerns, a lot of people are very focused on interest rates in lots of parts of the market, but it really hasn't impacted the luxury market so far.
No, and I think that's because we see so many people in the luxury market paying cash.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't impact the luxury market in that way, really.
Yeah, I mean,
or they'll leverage other money to buy the home and not have to necessarily rely upon a higher interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you that I don't think it's impacting the luxury market. Perhaps somebody who was ready to move up into the luxury market may be impacting that a little bit.
Yeah. I think also the term luxury in our markets is very vast.
Right.
So luxury thresholds in like Larimer County, $1 million is considered luxury threshold. There's some pockets across our communities, Berthoud and Timoth, being kind of outside of that. But what is the luxury threshold in Boulder County?
Well, Boulder itself, the luxury threshold is about $4 million.
Okay.
Where Longmont, which is a neighboring community, luxury threshold is 1.3. So even with Boulder County has great variation in what's considered luxury. So typically in Boulder County, the closer a community is to Boulder, the higher that value goes. Boulder's kind of like the epicenter for luxury in the county. And a lot of people come to Colorado because they're familiar with Boulder, the iconic, Flatirons Range, the campus, the great food scene, wonderful hiking and biking. So I think that it is, a lot different there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you said, Blake, Timoth, Estes Park, Berthoud in our areas have really represented great places to invest in luxury real estate in the last couple of years because, pandemic moving forward, we've seen those values rise substantially, where we've seen sales at record levels in many cases. And so, for people looking in that top 5% of the market, those markets present really good opportunities for those people. Switching topics a little bit, how do you two believe that we represent our clients' interests best when they're looking at a purchase? So, what are you doing as a buyer's agent to help them evaluate property and figure that out?
Would you like to
start us off?
Yeah.
I think it really depends on what is most important. So I think the first thing that we all really do really well is a buyer interview. I think some agents, they'll get like a sign call or an introduction and their first response is, do you want to see a house?
Right.
And I don't think that is really our approach. We're the type of people who schedule a meeting, ask important questions, and really gain insight to what our clients are looking for. So I think that is something that's really different amongst our team, is really understanding like what is it truly that they want as like a place to start.
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think that what we do with interviewing our clients up front adds a lot of value to the process. It helps really refine what the client is wanting, really gets them focused in on how to go about the process. And not only are we really figuring out what their wants and needs, likes, dislikes are, I think we're also helping educate them on what the process is going to look like. And as the markets change, or as the market changes throughout the years, whether it be a crazy seller's market or a kind of stable market or a buyer's market, it's really important that we take that time up front and help our clients understand what that process is going to look like and get them prepared so that there aren't any surprises.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think that, it becomes really valuable even when you're evaluating the house during a showing.
Oh, 100%.
In terms of
Yeah.
protecting their value. So, for me, it's really important to, talk to them about what adjacencies exist in a property. I think that's one of the main drivers of value and protecting your value in the future is it near a busy road, and will that impact who's going to want to buy that home in the future?
Right.
Is it does it have a really good floor plan or not? And then you can just look at what has this neighborhood done over time to help them.
I feel like in our markets, we've seen a lot of homes built like in the early 2000s and 90s, which doesn't seem like it's that far away.
Yeah.
But a lot of the large mechanicals, they're terming in terms of age.
Right.
And so I feel like age of the home is a really common factor right now when I'm showing properties, because it's like, okay, the home's beautiful, but like, how's the roof? How's the furnace? How are the not so pretty things in terms of condition and age?
Right. I do think that is one thing that we do well with our clients is we're not just here to get a house sold to them. We really want to make sure it's the right house, the best fit. And we are going to point out those things that might be hidden or they might not be thinking about, even if it might make it so that they don't want that house. That's okay with us. It's okay that we take the time to find the right house. It's not just about let's get them under contract, let's get it closed, let's move on to the next client. We're building relationships for life with our clients. We want our clients to come back. We want our clients to speak highly of us to their friends and family. Most of our business comes from word of mouth, from our past clients. Yeah. So we always are taking our clients' best interest to mind every time we're working with, like whatever that might be, whether it's looking at a house and how does this map to when we went through that exercise that we do with them at the beginning, like let's figure out what your top 6 most important things are in this house. What is your one deal breaker? We get to the house and what they had told us were the top 6 things. We noticed very glaringly one of those things is missing, but they're so excited about everything else they don't realize that part is missing. So, we're going to make sure that we're watching for those things when they get excited. Real estate's can be a very emotional process, and people can get very carried away with things sometimes and miss seeing, maybe a glaring red flag.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And I think it's that's a big role for us because people do get emotional and we want to make sure they don't make a mistake. That's going to impact their lifestyle or them accomplishing their dreams. Speaking of dreams, people talk about finding their dream home.
Right.
Some people
the elusive dream home.
Some people are looking for their investment property. Some people are looking for a dream home. What's a dream home, do you think? How do you define it?
I would say it doesn't exist.
Why?
Because I think, being in the business, I have found myself moving a lot. And things like life transitions, like
I know you well, and that's an understatement.
Yeah, but in terms of like your dream home, it's almost like your dream home right now. And as we know, life changes, it has curveballs, and things change, and I think needs change. So I think when you're looking at homes, realizing that there's no such thing as perfection, and being okay with the 85-90% of the home meeting your needs right now, because maybe 5-10 years, your life's going to change in what your home provides you in terms of like floor plan needs, square footage, location. Like it's likely that's going to change. And I always like to tell people that.
Yeah.
We're not looking for perfection as much as I strive for perfection. It's just not real. And really at setting expectations. But in terms of like perfect home, that's a tough question because I'm Henri and I'm like, it doesn't exist as my natural.
Well, I think dream homes can exist. Perfect homes don't exist.
Yes.
Right. Like perfect homes definitely don't exist. So I love that you say though, your needs are going to change because they always do. We have life phases or life stages, however you want to talk about them. And because homes, houses, which are our homes, if we're talking about our personal residence, they are a big part of who we are. They are a big part of our lifestyle. And people do evolve, people change, families grow, families downsize like me. I'm getting ready to be an empty nester. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it.
It's crazy.
Right? It's nuts. Who would have thought I'd be here in this spot, when the kids are born and they're babies, and thought it would never come to the day where I'm sending off our younger one off to college. And so now we're looking at that, right? So when we first were married, it was a very small home. Then we needed a bigger home because the kids were born. Then we relocated states. And now we're, is this house still right for us? So I think that's a really valid point. And
so how do you, and I hear what you're saying, and, it seems like you're both kind of alluding to the same thing, but it's kind of like, I think maybe the question really is like how, some people might be evaluating home purchase for their first home or purely for investment purposes.
Yeah.
But then there's a stage that you move on to evaluating home more for your lifestyle preferences.
Oh,
and so like,
yeah.
how do you know the difference, and how do you change the way you evaluate it? I think that's maybe the question.
Yeah.
People
So
are really trying to ask.
Yeah. And I think that I like how you reframe that, Kelly. To me, you're right. When you're first buying your first home, a lot of times when people are buying their first home, they just want a home, right? They might have ideas about what are really important in them, but they're willing to settle for, at the very minimum, it needs to have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and the rest of it's great, right? So a really good distinction on that. I think as we're getting, as you're going through life and moving through those different stages and you get to that point where you can own that dream home that you've been dreaming about, right? It is, I think, a lot more about lifestyle or location or amenities,
right,
which really go back to that lifestyle again. And so I do think our process with our clients changes when we do that initial interview. When somebody is talking about having that ability to buy that dream home, instead of really focusing on what the needs are of the house, like is it 3 bedrooms, is it so many bathrooms, does it have so many garage spaces, does it have a certain size backyard? It's really more about what is your lifestyle about? And how is that home going to play into that dream lifestyle?
That's right.
And then crafting that from there.
Yeah, I think what my experience is very similar. It's almost like the questions that I find people start asking themselves is, how do, like if I could have it my way, would I have a room that I could listen to music in on my own without my kids interrupting me? Or would I have that wine room that I've always dreamed about because I can afford it? And so I think the questions change. And if you're starting to ask those questions as a buyer, it might be an indication that it's time to move on to your dream home.
Yeah. I think in terms of like investment, I think the first question I would ask is how much cash do you have?
Yeah.
In terms of like, what's your leverage?
Right.
And I think that would really niche you into maybe it's a condo, a single family home, maybe it's a duplex or a triplex.
Right.
And really figuring out where you are in that investment space, because financial leverage and cash on hand is really important to start those conversations.
That's right.
And I think depending on the age of the investor, like if you're in your 30s, 40s, you're not looking to cash out right now and you just kind of want to get into the market, let the asset appreciate, is very different than someone kind of in their 50s, 60s, we're looking at cash flow to be a contribution to their monthly income and monthly income they're going to use right now. So,
yeah. So with all of that in mind, how do people know it's the right time to buy? What are some good indicators that we can give them?
Well, I think that's a very personalized question. I think it's really circumstance driven, and circumstances for them personally, for the economy, for, that's such a loaded question. So it's really very individualized. I think it's always the right time to buy if the circumstances are correct for you. And that doesn't mean, maybe the circumstances aren't correct for 10 people, but they're correct for you. So I do think it's interesting when we hear in the media, oh, now's not a good time to buy. That's such a blanket statement that I've never followed that. Or, now's a great time to buy, right? Now's the time to buy. You got to buy. Well, maybe your circumstances aren't right. So I think it's very individualized. I don't know if you guys feel that same way.
I think there's like different times to leverage the market, because like it's the time to buy. It's time to buy. Everyone's hearing that. So everyone's buying, which means you're competing against your 10 friends.
Right.
Versus where if the market's a little more calm, we're not seeing contracts the first like few days.
Right.
there's different like leverage points and negotiation points. The
Absolutely.
contract in terms of the negotiations is so vast that I think most people just think it's the purchase price.
Right.
And it's so much more than that. So in terms of timing to buy and when it's time to buy, I think I'm with you, Christine. It's always a good time to buy.
Yeah.
I agree with you both. And I think it's also, it's a complex topic because
real estate's a
it's
complex,
a totally complex topic. And I mean, I think
there's no cookie cutter answer in anything with real estate, period.
Absolutely. And when you're
That's why you hire a great agent.
That's right. Yeah. Well,
Call me.
yeah, call me.
Right?
Oh, God, maybe call her. Stop jumping on that. But I really do think, like, coming back to if you're asking yourself the question, is it a right time to buy? That's probably really coming down to an emotional and psychological decision for yourself.
Right.
Do you feel comfortable to buy? And until you do, it's not the right time to buy.
Right.
And then I think the second biggest thing you have to do is talk to a really high quality lender, because they're going to give you the path forward of how this might work. Or your financial advisor, depending on your situation.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
Anyways, this has been really fun.
It has been, you guys. I'm glad that we are getting this off the ground and rolling, and looking forward to chatting again soon.
I know. I feel like we could have done this for like hours. So
Yeah.
Well, speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks.
All right. See you soon.
Okay.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.